So beginning here, the traditional system, what you have today are called IVRs. IVRs are kind of the old phone system based menu routing where a call comes in, we press 1, we press 2, we press 3, and I'll kind of show you a visual of what this looks like in my demo system here. These are telephone based menu options where when you select certain, press 1 for animal services, press 3 if you want to hear this menu in a different language. And this is already a part of your system. If you're using it or not using it, these are free and unlimited, and of course, they're today if you need them. What we're seeing though is a shift now to a speech-directed menu solution option. So AI Receptionist does work on usage, meaning unlike IVRs, an AI Receptionist, there's bundles of minutes that you purchase to be able to offer these services. I'm going to create very quickly here, easy to set up. And I think one of the real benefits of the AI Receptionist is you don't need to be an IT AI specialist with a degree or a certification and all this. It is as simple as, and maybe we'll work with the animal shelter here as an example. Here we go. So I can grab this URL from your public-facing site, and we're going to add this into the setup here. We're also going to pick, what kind of voice that we like within the flow of the AI Receptionist. So you can choose your primary language as English, but county residents who need an alternative language can also have this. What this is going to do is, as I ask questions or have a support need, what time is the shelter open? Who can I speak to about adoptive services? I need to schedule an animal pickup. Whatever it may be. The responses will be rendered in that native language. So really cool feature to add language support within that. Of course, a lot of different options for voicing that we can do in here. We're going to call this Lake County Animal Services and go next. This is just a little description, helps kind of build some of the FAQs. Then we just type in, what do we want for the greeting? So in this case, maybe thank you for calling, animal services. This call is being recorded. You can do that too. How can I help you? We'll just keep it simple here. How can I help you? And then, we don't need the FAQs right now. And there's an office, business, and location. So if the caller were to ask you, what time is the shelter open today, you can actually load in your hours of operations in there, and it can, without having to transfer to someone, can just read off those hours of operations and availability and send them through. So just that simple. I've built now an extension. We can attach an actual Lake County number to it. You could point your direct animal services or animal shelter main number to, whatever that is here on the site, to ring directly into the AI Receptionist. Or it could be a menu option that you just present certain hours of the day. Maybe not every, 24/7 all day. But if you're closed or after hours or when you're busy and unable to take the calls live, you could route the calls here. So we've got our greeting. We've got some location information in here. Of course, you could customize this fully about when the shelter and services are open, if that question were to get asked. Transfer by name. If you want to use this, person who's calling could say, I want to talk to Doug Woodyard, or I want to talk to Patrick O'Keefe, and the AI Receptionist can just do a direct transfer for you. So it can handle some of that volume, freeing up your internal staff to be able to do more, direct services to those that are at the shelter or for, kind of their day-to-day, not tie them up with a lot of that routine, repetitive answer transfer kind of work. Or, you can opt out of the transfer by name. We don't want to allow people to be able to direct transfer into extensions. But where it really gets powerful is you can, one, turn on SMS. So if we wanted to enable texting, we can allow, if I were to call in and ask a question, I'd like to schedule a time to adopt. The AI Receptionist can actually text the caller a direct link to your site and the shelter where they can schedule an adoption visit or set up an appointment for that. So another great way is we're trying to be more available in how I got my two kittens here, right? My wife scheduled an appointment with the shelter. We adopted, and we're up. So being able to allow citizens more direct services to schedule an appointment, the AI receptionist can do that as well. So we can enable texting. Here, I love this feature too, the Knowledge Hub. So when we look at the Knowledge Hub, we can create a knowledge base. We'll call this Lake County Animal Services. And again, you have already created a lot of these this information content on your own site. So I can just take this animal shelter FAQ page, which you've already presented a lot of these routine questions, and add this FAQ page into the Knowledge Hub. And now the AI receptionist immediately has the answers to any of the questions that routinely come up. How do I get veterinary services? How do I handle a trap or get a trap, let's say. Um, so for any of these types of, we'll find a part of the page that's working here. Let's do appointments. Right, so here we're scheduling an appointment. So we could actually take this appointment link, and if I go back to my Air Studio here for Lake County Animal Services, we could set up a frequently asked question where it says, how do I schedule an adoption? Here is the link to schedule, or for adoption. And you can, of course, customize this however you like. So is everybody seeing kind of how easy, how quick, and how simple this is to build? And I'm going to put a call in because we built this from not existing to where we are now in the first 5 minutes of this meeting. Right. So right away we've got a knowledge base, we've got information, and it doesn't have to be on your public site necessarily. How do I become a foster? Let's add this one too. Let's go back to our Knowledge Hub. We're actually going to select this one. And I'm going to add one more URL here about fostering. And in just about 10 to 15 seconds, that crawl is going to run across your fosterings page and bring in any and all of this information into the AI receptionist so it can provide the answer if asked for any of these questions. And then one more step, maybe what we'll set up here is a transfer by context skill. And here, rather than ask, hey, I want to talk to Patrick or I want to talk to Jeffrey, we could say a department. So I need to speak to an operator, or I need to talk to somebody about medications. And so maybe we'll transfer this over to a user or a call queue or wherever that needs to go. And you could build out several of these types of scenarios, the types of calls that you may get on a routine basis, lost and found, let's say, right? Or animal traps. And we'll send that to Doug as well, or we send that to a group of users. So really great feature functionality. I've built my AI receptionist, just that simple. I've already linked it to multiple sites within your public facing page for information. I've tooled it up with some transfer by context skills. We're really ready to go ahead and put a call to it. And if you're not in the animal control department, just imagine, right, whether it's landfill services, if somebody were calling in, what are the hours for large drop-offs? What are the types of materials that are accepted? Landfill and trash services. You could have a separate AI receptionist that provides all of that information for that department with its own dedicated number in that way. So I've got a number here, 7368, and we'll put a call in here and kind of listen to how this sounds.
Hello, thanks for calling Animal Services. How can I help you?
Yeah, can you give me information on how to become a foster parent?
All right, let me try to find information on foster parenting. To become a foster parent, you can apply through the Animal Foster Program. The shelter provides all supplies and support needed, and you can foster kittens, mom cats with kittens, pregnant cats, and more. You may also attend a fosterology class to learn the basics. Would you like me to text you the info with the link for easy access?
Yeah.
Okay, got it. I'm going to send SMS to +1 251 378 9714. Is it the right number?
Yeah.
All right, noted. I've sent you a text with the information and the link for easy access. Let me know if you need anything else.
I need a link to book an adoption. Can you send that?
Just All right, let me see what I can do to send that link for you. You can book an adoption appointment through the adoption scheduling page. Would you like me to text you the info with the link for easy access?
Yeah.
Okay, got it on that. I'm going to send SMS to +1 251 378 9714. Is it the right number?
Yep.
Got
You
it.
could
Thanks for
throttle
confirming.
the confirmation
I've sent
towards
you a
here and there.
text with the adoption booking link for easy access. Let me know if you need anything else.
Yeah, transfer me to someone I can talk to about medications.
All right, let me see who can assist you with medication questions. I can transfer you to the medications department. Would you like me to do that?
Yeah.
Okay, please stay with me a moment. Transferring you to the medications department now. Please wait.
So a quick example there, right? Where call comes in, front ends, that caller with information provides links if you need it. Anything your staff maybe in the building might answer or provide. And again, this is all about just offering those services maybe at times when your in-building staff are really tasked to be handling more pressing needs, treating animal treatment in the shelter or servicing citizens who are coming into the site. That way, you're not constantly being interrupted with a lot of these questions. Now, there's other scenarios where, well, all things being equal, as a county services department, we want live answer. We don't want to send customers there or call citizens there first, and that's fine too, right? We could still have those calls come in. They can ring the associated phones in the shelter. All best case scenario, folks are available. We take that call. And you could offer it as a destination where calls arrive if it's not answered first live. Maybe after 4 rings or a number of rings, we send it there as a fallback. Another use case we had during Hurricane Helene, when the storm was kind of bearing down on Florida and kind of up, cutting across and coming up the East Coast. We had some cities that were closing city services altogether, county services altogether. So what do we do in those inclement weather scenarios? When the services are going to be closed, normally we would just put up a closure message. The shelter is closed due to the storm. It'll reopen on Monday, or we expect. Call back if you need something. Well, is that the best service that we can offer during that time? What you could do is you could turn on the AI receptionist for that use case and still allow citizens who have those kinds of needs. I found this animal, we need a medication refill. I'm fostering these cats or dogs during this time and have an immediate need. This can be a way that you can offer services even in those times when your county staff are not available at all. The settings for any AI receptionist will always be this backup extension. They can say, I'm out, transfer me to the receptionist operator, kind of that zero out. In a traditional old school IVR, you had this zero option that people are like, nope, don't want it, don't listen, get me to a live person. So you can always kind of have this abandon out of the AI model if you want. This also goes into effect if we don't provide an answer to a question that comes up, right? I ask, I want to, whatever that may be. My cat I adopted needs a vaccination appointment. I need a recommendation for a veterinarian in the area or something of this nature, right? So I didn't build what the AI model should do with that. The last thing we want is the AI receptionist to just guess or take a shot at answering something you've not trained it or provided it the right answer for. And so in any of those cases, it is going to say, let me get you connected to someone to help you with that. And you can define that destination. It could be one person or it could be a group of phones or users. What you get with AI Receptionist also is analytics and conversation insights. So first, what is it doing in terms of volume? How many calls is it handling? How many are being resolved by that simple answer transfer? either transfer by context. I've defined, medications, vaccination, whatever I need there, and we're transferring to a department. If we're doing a named directory lookup, I want to talk to Whitney, and you're allowing name transfer, you can see the number of times it's answering and resolving that way. But I think what's really valuable here is common questions that come up. Let me give you a kind of a deeper dive into this. In conversation insights, questions that commonly come up that are unresolved. How many times has this question been asked where we've gotten it and we haven't yet provided the answer for that? So here, like on, I need help with a second trash pickup, or you can see some of those use cases here are more like education related too. But you can mark this question resolved just by going ahead and providing a manual answer to it. You could upload a static file, so it doesn't have to be an answer that's on the web. It could be a PDF or Word document or knowledge source that you've already built for your staff, either in training or otherwise, to provide that answer. You can also see, the questions that we have resolved, what commonly comes up in here. And you filter these by certain departments too. So one that I've got maybe more calls through here, what items are acceptable for drop off or what items are acceptable for pickup. And we can see and drill down on all the times when those calls have come in. And you can even go further, actually pulling the transcript of any of those interactions that route through the AI receptionist. Should you ever get a call from a resident that said, I called in and this is what the AI receptionist told me, that's not true, right? So you get in this kind of, oh, no, I asked and they said you were open, or they said this is what I should do, or it texted me this information. Anytime there's ever a question about the data that was presented, you have access to the full call history. I could search and say, show me any call to and from that cell phone number that came in. And then let's look at, what was asked during that call. And then what answers were provided as a result of it, or where, ultimately where did it get transferred? Analytics, call volume, call handle transfer, and common questions, as well as full detailed transcripts. If a call is recorded, if you want to do recording, you'll even see you can listen to the call if you want to listen back to
Hello,
that.
thanks for calling Animal Services. How can I help you?
So you can replay that, and you can see here's that text I got earlier about fostering and what was sent. When it sent me the pet adoption link, I can see what it's being, what it's routing there. So just a lot of great tools should you have the case where you need to drill down on what was provided or validate that. By default, it's going to store the last 6 months of call analytics details. You can expand that if you want to go back a year or even multiple years, but default retention will be 6 months. It actually ties to that retention extension ties to just normal analytic call detail data. So the default retention on just typical call detail data is 6 months. If you expand it to the 1 year, it expands also the retention of the AI receptionist transcript history too. In the event that a web URL were compromised, it is not going to recrawl that site unless you go back in and refresh it. So it's a way for IT or leadership in the county who's going to manage it to always know that the documents that it's provided or the web URLs it's provided were provided by the admin, and it wasn't an auto update of any sort that could potentially start offering the wrong information. Now, what's really cool here too, if we were these web URLs were all offered in English, right? But if we offer the Air Studio to present in multi-language, so if we picked Spanish as a secondary option, now the caller who calls in, if they were to just speak natively in their native language, you don't have to do translation on those knowledge articles. AI Receptionist will translate it for you or for the caller, which is another great benefit in cities and resident. Like I'm here in Atlanta, we have a large immigration community of lots of different residents from around the world, and so services like this in those sorts of counties, it's crucial, right? You don't have to maintain all of that knowledge documentation in these different languages. Today, these are the languages that have been added to support. There were some requests for additional language expansion, and if there is anything in your population that would be, really beneficial, let us know. We can submit that as an enhancement request to the product team because they're continuing to add new languages. All right, so just an example there. Again, quick and easy. It's usage based. One more little piece here I'll just mention. I showed the example of just I'll text you a link to the booking site, which was your appointment scheduler here, where you can actually the resident could pick and book if you want. There is another option to do calendar access. So not sure that this would be required, but if Lake County were using a shared Office 365 calendar separate from this Calendly or this service, if there were any other departments, because I know we've got different departments represented here that weren't using a web URL to book these type of appointments, the AI receptionist can link to shared calendars and be permitted to book into those shared calendars as well. So sometimes we see this in city and county services where like a parks department may have offer the ability for citizens to book pavilions or book rooms in in a rec center, things like that. So just know that the skills are not just, I can text you a link where you're doing that booking already. It can actually book directly into a shared calendar of sorts as well. One other I just wanted to share when it comes to the contact center, we showed an example of a voice call. One thing I'm thinking on that, we could test it or test the scenario for it. Inside the AI receptionist, if I were to ask for bulk pickup, and before I transfer to a user or department or wherever, we can turn on what's called lead capture. Now, what this allows the system to create a questionnaire. So we call this bulk pickup questions. And let's say anytime someone calls in and they ask to speak to somebody in bulk trash pickup, they're going to be transferred to this department. But before they get transferred there, we want to walk them through a questionnaire. And you can ask up to 3 questions. It will confirm their name and phone number. And you can ask up to 3 questions here. What is your address for bulk pickup request? We could ask another one here too. What are the items or a brief description to be picked up? And maybe when would you need your pickup? So let's say I want to use this, right? And we're going to turn this on and just test it real quick. 7368.
Hello, thanks for calling Animal Services. How can I help you? Please say English or Spanish to continue.
I need to speak to somebody about a bulk trash pickup.
All right, let me see if I can get you someone about a bulk request. I can transfer you to the bulk pickup department. Would you like me to do that?
Yeah.
Okay, please stay with me a moment. Before I connect you, I'd like to gather a bit of information to make sure we handle your request properly. May I go ahead?
Yeah.
Okay, I hear you. May I have your full name, please?
Patrick O'Keefe.
Could you please confirm if you'd like us to use this number for future contact?
Yeah.
No problem, I got that. What is your address for bulk pickup request?
123 Main Street, Anytown,
All right,
USA.
got that noted. What are the items or a brief description to be picked up?
I need to pick up a couch, a refrigerator, and a grill.
Okay, noted on that. When would you need your pickup?
I'd like to have it tomorrow morning if you can, but next week would be fine.
Just a moment, I have noted your preference. Thank you for completing the questionnaire. Transferring you to the bulk pickup department now.
So that last step is up to you, right? What it's designed to do is ask those questions before it does a live transfer. You could transfer that caller to a automated voice prompt that says, if you have any other details that you want to leave them now. It could leave a voicemail message if you want. But now that I've completed that lead questionnaire, I can go back, or you would be able to go back into this leads database and pull and see the answers to the questions that were asked. what needed to be picked up. I have the name and phone number of the caller and when they're requesting the example. So that's just a quick example. I mean, of what might work, of allowing it to ask up to 3 questions in addition to the name and number, and then where you can access this data. You would come into your admin portal, pull up those lead capture responses, and you'd have a date and time stamp for any of these. You could download to a spreadsheet, what you need. AI Receptionist is just a bundled minute usage. So one thing we didn't talk about was cost. The way this product works is you buy bundles of minutes. This call I just had was 1 minute and 25 seconds. It rounds to every 30 seconds. So this would deduct 1 minute and 30 seconds of the bundle. And they're purchased in 100-minute bundles. So it's effectively how it translates. So again, some city services, some county services want it only for specific functions, like we just described there. I'm sure there's a operational cost, productivity time. If you don't have to call every person, you're trying to collect the database to follow up with them. They're giving you a litany. I'm throwing out the trash. I'm throwing out the couch because my dog peed on it, and I don't need all these details, right? So we're freeing up a lot of human cost time associated to the cost of the usage bundle. But that's kind of how it stacks up in terms of in order to deploy this feature, all you need is the bundle. Good question. Today, it continues to function. It doesn't shut down, but it bills at an overage. So the first bundle is $39 for 100 minutes. So effectively 39 cents a minute. If you go over the 100 minutes, it's 50 cents a minute. So that's really the only impact. And of course, you could gauge, I don't really know how many minutes I need. You could start with just a 100-minute bundle. We might need to add a couple bundles. You can just add the extra ones. Once you add them, though, you have that minute allotment every month. So you might have a hurricane comes in, boom, I got tons of residents with bulk trash pickup needs, flooding, wet carpets and all this. You might get a surge of calls in some months. So those months you might end up with more overage, but other months you'll have the allocation of minutes each month. Next, I want to talk about Call Queue Booster. This will be an enhancement license to just your normal call queues if you needed it. Here I've got an animal services queue. Let me see if this one's boosted, enhanced. Yeah. So if we wanted to, if we add a license for Call Queue Booster, it does allow you to bring features like position in the queue or callback request. And if we enable callback request, this means I can call into a normal RingCentral queue, just as you're licensed for today. And if the queue were busy or we're waiting in line, callback request will allow the caller to press 1, hold their place in line. They can go about their day. And when they reach their spot in the queue, when they reach the front of the line, the system will connect them back by calling the number that they dialed from. So it's really a kind of a traditional contact center feature, but it's a great way for citizens who maybe call into departments where at times there's long waits, maybe 5th in line or maybe 2nd in line, but the call talk time is long, right? Maybe on average, these calls may go 5 to 10 minutes. So rather than just wait and listen to the Lake County musical and hold, we offer that callback request where I can go about my day. When I reach the front of the line, I'm connected to the agent. So it's just like I'm holding there, but I don't have to waste my minutes or waste my time with my spot in line. But Call Queue Booster is a new add-on pack to what you already have today if you just want to bring some of these basic voice features to your call queues. It comes with some optional things too. Estimated wait time. Not every city or county wants to share that, but sometimes it's helpful. My position in the queue, you're 3rd in line, and your estimated wait time is 2 minutes. There's direct correlation to callers will hold longer if they're told about approximately how long the wait would be. But it can do all of these, right? You can actually turn on position in the queue or wait time and call back, and they could choose, hey, you can hold, or you can just press 1. We'll hold your spot in line and connect you back when you reach the front of the line. It'll be approximately 10 minutes, whatever it may be. The way this is licensed, based on the number of, we call them agents, but really people or users who are in that queue. So animal services here, if I wanted to bring the Call Queue Booster features to animal services, I would need 3 Call Queue Booster licenses because I have 3 members in this queue. Now, if Kim and Candace and Ruth are actually county services who take calls across multiple queues, animal services, and let's say sanitation. I would, I might only, I only need the license once, in other words. So if Candace is in 2 queues where I want booster, she only needs 1 license. But I'll have an add-on license for each person who's in that queue that I'm boosting, if that makes sense. This is another feature. This is live dashboards and reports that comes with Call Queue Booster. You don't have today, but you would have for that queue. I've just built an example dashboard here, but if management or leadership wanted to have in a Chrome tab or up on a TV, if you wanted even rendering there, but in your own web browser, I can always see what are the number of calls that are in the queue right now. And if you wanted to have a widget, you could even have it render and report on just your queue. And so you can see what are the active wait times in the queue. How are we, how many calls have we taken? Here comes one that's new into the queue, it's waiting. So, what are my agents or stations or phones that are going to be ringing to receive that call? This gives you live visibility if you wanted to be able to see, what's happening in real time. And this comes with Booster. You get it for any queues that you boost and the users that are part of those queues. Another element to this that you can add on is a product called AI Conversation Expert. So when this call wraps up or after the fact, AI Conversation Expert allows us to have, based on the repository of those calls, all of the calls that we're recording for public waste services, you have not just the access to the recordings of those calls, but in leadership, you can see, what are the top, what are some of the insights into these conversations that are arising. So I'm going to show you an example of this. Let's say we're looking at, all the calls that have come in for county services. You can start to see, word spotting and topic clouds, what's coming up commonly, and then a breakdown of these inbound calls. What percentage are related to certain topics? And you can kind of click in and get a better. So this sometimes has come up in city services, county services, where leadership wants to know what are the citizens calling most about? What are the top topics, trackers that we want to kind of identify that are most commonly occurring, and give us a little bit of a breakdown into issues and breakdown for those. So under waste management, what are some of these top items that are continuing to occur, or into permitting, for example, that are continuing to come up. And beyond just the summary level data, or the high level data, you can have, with management access, I've got maybe a repository of, let's say 2,500 recordings from this week, or maybe stretching out over the month, I've got thousands of recordings. How do I go find the ones that I want to better train my agents on? Let's say I know that I've got Tina on my staff. She's been with us for years. She can handle any, a solid waste question that comes up. So I want to come in here and say, show me all calls that we detect an upset caller. The sentiment analysis of the call is detecting the caller is upset. So immediately I'm filtered down on 2,500 call recordings to 155 of them. And I can go grab one of these as an example, and let's pick a city-related one here. Let's go, we'll just pick on this one. This is more of an IT support type issue. But before I listen to the entirety of this call, I'm getting an AI-generated summary of exactly what was discussed. In fact, I might even go further and say, show me calls related to, if I can spell that right, recycling. So anywhere in the conversation where recycling has come up. And here I want to pick on this one from December 16th. It's about a 3-minute call. Before I even listen to it, I get a complete breakdown of what they're complaining about. The trash has not been picked up for 2 weeks. I want to be transferred to the city manager's office. Customers asking about recycling pickup and items that are acceptable. So maybe this is one that she did a great job with. Again, just as leadership, immediately giving the ability to filter down to moments and types of interactions that you're looking for. You can get a full timeline breakdown of Tina in this conversation. You could search the full transcript. Where did they ask to speak to the city manager? and jump right to that part of the call where that was requested. So this is Conversation Expert, or ACE, AI Conversation Expert, which allows you to take that library of recordings, which is all of the database of moments that are important that you would want to garner insight from, and really drill down on any type of interaction. It'll even allow you to build what are called trackers. These are flags that you could say, I want to know anytime trash pickup is mentioned, anytime their caller is upset. And if that occurs in the timeline of any call, I want the AI model to flag that for me. So now you in leadership can jump right to these moments and really see what is the percentage breakdown of all of my solid waste calls that my staff are handling. And whether for training or otherwise, you could build scorecards and evaluation for these agents. You could even add these kinds of calls to a library of, navigating a customer complaint or navigating a citizen complaint. And then the next training meeting with Tina and all the team, we're going to elevate her and kind of say, look how she took this call, and this is what we want you to do. This is a model scenario for elevating kind of the citizen experience, interacting with solid waste. So giving you a couple of examples how we've seen ACE implemented in the contact center. Also want you to know, if you like this application, you can add this ACE tool to a normal call queue, right? All it requires is the call is recorded. But now we can bring in recordings, whether they're in the base call queues that you have today or they're from a CX call queue, and you want this kind of conversation insight. Keep in mind, when we add ACE, or this conversation expert, it does expand the retention for call recordings to a year for you. So this will give you an ability, a portal that you can log in and have access to every one of those recordings with speech analytics, the ability to search the transcripts of every one of those calls, and have the retention go back a full year. If ever you needed to share this interaction and say, hey, you know what, I really want to take this to a leadership meeting. I don't want to give my leadership full access to this because it's too much for everybody. So I'd like to maybe download this call and save it as an MP3, and I'm going to take it just into my own meeting, and you could do that too. So the tool really gives management that ability to look at, we'll go here all time, at a high level, look at what are these breakdowns by trackers. So you can see, here's Tina, she's taken, 89 of the calls that are upset have come to her. I want to just look at those, right? I want to look at any call where the caller has been upset that she handled, or anytime, certain things have come up like housing or escalation or supervisor request. So this tracker, mapping allows you to really look at full sentiment analysis and these moments that come up in these interactions.